All right, I'm pleased to say we're joined now by the Minister for Food, Mark Spencer. Mark, good morning to you. Thanks very much for coming. Let's just pick up on what we've seen there in Brazil. I mean, obviously you are in the Environment Department, so you must be delighted that a man who's come in Brazil seems going to protect the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, I think that's huge progress, isn't it? And I think it's great news to see democracy happening all around the world.
Yeah, and it's a huge comeback for a man as well, a leftist though, I suppose.
Well, but, I think the environment is a big issue and Brazil is going to be a big player in that. And I think this is good news for Brazil. It's good news for the world.
Okay, let's move on to some domestic issues. And we've got to talk about what's happening down in Kent at the moment, Mark. I mean, you got an immigration centre there that's housing 4,000 people, capacity for 1,600. What's going on down there?
I mean, there are huge challenges here. I think clearly we've got to break the model that is bringing destitute people across the channel. There are some very bad people who are putting innocent people's lives at risk. We have to break that model. Of course, when they get here, we've got to try and find a way of dealing with them compassionately and looking after them and processing them as quickly as possible. And there are competing ambitions to try and get people processed, but also to look after them and keep them safe.
But we're not keeping them safe, are we? Because they're coming under attack here in this centre. And not only that, the centre's got diphtheria and MRSA.
Yeah, so we're working very hard to try and resolve those challenges. There is a scheme that pushes people out into local authorities to support them in hotels, which we're working towards with working with local authorities. But as you say, there are huge challenges. But the answer to this is to break the model that is delivering these people to our doors, to our shores. And that's what we're working very hard to try and do.
We'll come and see how you're breaking that model. But you say you're going to move them out into hotels. That's exact opposite of what the current Home Secretary.
No, so we're working with local authorities to house them. Sorry, so basically we're working with the local authorities to house them locally. There's a scheme. I think it's £20 million we've invested in that scheme to support people. But the answer is, of course, to process them quickly where they are.
So why did the Home Secretary then stop people moving out into hotels during her first tenure before she stepped away again? She had put the block on hotel rooms being used. Why was that?
Because she wants to process them quickly. We've got to try and make sure that those who are genuine asylum seekers, and there are safe routes, of course, to get here via a safe system, she wants to process them very quickly and work out who we need to help protect and who we need to return.
But you can't process them if they're in these squalid conditions, can you? Because it's not getting anywhere. There's a huge logjam there, isn't there?
So there are a lot of people coming, and we need to break that model. We need to make sure that we stop these people coming across the channel. That's what we're working to do.
It's been described as awful, inhumane. I mean, you can't be proud.
Well, we clearly have an obligation to look after these people and to support them and to keep them safe. And there are huge challenges. I acknowledge that. We've got to try and deal with these people compassionately and quickly.
I'm glad you've acknowledged that, because looking at your record voting on immigration, it's quite a hard line, Mark. Would you say that's a fair way of describing it?
So I think we've got to make sure we control our own borders. That's what people voted for. We want to make sure that the people who are coming are genuine refugees. And we've actually got a really good track record, looking at all the people we've taken from Afghanistan, from Syria, from Hong Kong. The UK has a very proud record of taking people from other countries who are in desperate situations. That will continue.
Absolutely.
But we need to make sure that we're getting the right people.
We should be pleased with that, but I'm saying specifically on voting to stop people who've been here for 6 months finding work if their processes haven't been put through yet. There's been some votes, some decisions made that have been made it very difficult for people who come to this country. And I put it to you now that system is completely failed. That idea of lacking in compassion for some of these people who are coming here has broken down, because we have 38,000 come.
As I say, we've got a huge track record of taking people from other parts of the world. Just look at the Ukraine, the amount of people we've taken from Ukraine. That we should be very proud of that record. But those who are coming, we need to process as quickly as possible to work out who is a genuine asylum seeker and who could be returned to a safe country that they came from.
What about building new areas to hold them, new centres?
Well, these things are all under review constantly, of course, but it's a huge challenge. And that's what we're seeking to do, to solve that challenge as quickly as possible.
I mean, you've caused a huge challenge many times. Your only solution is to tackle the business model?
Well, that's part of the solution. Of course, the other solution is the Rwanda option, to send people to a safe country like Rwanda. Well, we're still working our way through that. There are a number of legal challenges to that. But ultimately, you've got to get to these very bad people who are putting lives in danger by putting them on an unseaworthy craft on the other side of the channel and sending them across. People, are putting their lives in danger. We have to break that model. We have an obligation to try and stop that from happening.
Isn't the fact the case that after years of aggressive rhetoric towards migration and migrants, we haven't got to a system that's fit for purpose at this stage? And now we're seeing thousands of people coming across. We're seeing tensions in local towns. I mean, there was a firebombing at one of the centres yesterday, Mark.
And that is currently under investigation, so I don't want to say too much about that, but we've been able to move some people away from that incident in Dover, but that's an ongoing investigation.
But do you accept that some of the rhetoric around the way that we treat migrants coming into this country has not been helpful and has led to some of those increased tensions?
No, I mean, clearly, as I keep saying, that it is a huge challenge that these people are wanting to come across the channel to the United Kingdom. It is the bad people in this are the people who are exploiting those individuals. They are taking their life savings, they are putting them on an unseaworthy vessel and putting their lives in danger. We have an obligation to try and stop that from happening and stop these people from drowning in the channel.
Is Suella Braverman the right Home Secretary to deal with this?
Yeah, and the Prime Minister's reappointed her. She put her hands up and said that she made a mistake. I think we need to give her the space to get on and do it.
I mean, it was a mistake. It wasn't an honest mistake, there was it, in some of the reporting.
Well, I think, often you have politicians on here and you accuse them of never apologising and never saying sorry. She made a mistake. She put her hands up and said, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. The Prime Minister has reappointed her. And I think she needs to concentrate now on getting on with her job. She's recruiting police officers, driving down crime, concentrating on burglaries and dealing with this challenge of migrants crossing the channel.
I mean, can she concentrate with all of these noises?
Yeah.
It's not just the one mistake. There's reporting there have been many mistakes, and there's also reporting that those within her department are not happy with her having come back.
She's completely focused on the job. We need to let her get on and do it.
She's got your full backing as well.
Of course.
Let's talk about what happened with the former Prime Minister, former Foreign Secretary. Liz Truss's phone was hacked. It's been reported in the newspapers recently. I mean, you're in government. Do you use your government phone for any personal business?
I do not, no. But I mean, you do get quite a lot of briefing from the security services on what to do and what not to do. It's quite important to get that right. I don't want to comment too much on it because, of course, what I don't want to do is tell the world exactly what that briefing says. But you do get a lot of support when you become a government minister on what is appropriate and inappropriate as a government minister.
So perhaps she wasn't listening to the briefing then if she was using it.
Well, I think, as she said, she made a mistake, but...
well, Liz Truss made a mistake as well by using
No, sorry, I thought you were talking about the Home Secretary. No, the former Prime Minister clearly was hacked, so that is the first thing you do is say, oh my goodness, I've been hacked, help, and the security service will help you with that challenge. Now, of course, you don't always know, which is why you've got to be super careful.
I think the concern was that she was perhaps talking on her personal phone, and there may be some stuff in there that leaves her open to be caught.
Well, we all talk on personal phones, don't we? I ring my wife. Maybe there's some little man in China listening to the conversations between me and my wife. But
I'm not fucking Chinese,
you've just got to be careful about what information you use on which phone, and you get a lot of help and support from the security services.
And do you think there's time for some more help and support for some of these ministers about being as careful with security as they perhaps
It is ongoing. I mean, we need to recognise, there are states out there that want to do us harm, and Russia's being very aggressive in Ukraine. There are lots of people that want to do this country harm, which is why we have to be careful.
Let me ask you a little bit about COP27. The Prime Minister said that he wasn't going to go. He had to focus on domestic commitments. It's now being reported that he may well go. What's changed?
Well, I think the Prime Minister has a huge inbox. He's come into office. He's got an inbox which is full to the brim. Clearly, he wants to concentrate on the financial statement, and that's what he's doing. But if he's able to get through all of that, COP is very important. It's very important to the government. It's important to our future, and so we'll send out senior ministers. But that's yet to be decided who's going to go.
Would you like to see him go?
If he's got time, only he will know what he's got in his inbox and in his diary if he has the time. But he'll make that call, and I'm sure it'll be the right one.
It'd be best to have the Prime Minister there on the world stage. It'd be first chance. It's not just COP, is it, as well, Mark? Is it? He's going to get to meet other world leaders there. It's his first chance. We've got a war in Europe here.
Well, as a former Chancellor, he's met lots of those world leaders in the past. But it is an important topic to the government, and we will send a serious team out there.
Just lastly, before you go, because last time I spoke to you, I did ask you about this, and we didn't get any conclusion on it. Nusrat Ghani, the investigation into what happened with her, it was kicked off into long grass when the ethics commissioner resigned. Where are we with that now?
So the honest truth is, I don't know. I'm waiting for that report to come out. Obviously, we've had quite a lot of turmoil in the system. My understanding is that Lord Guyte was very close to coming forward. I'm absolutely desperate for that report.
A few months ago, you said the same thing to me.
I know. It is very, very, very frustrating for me, to be honest, because obviously I know I'm completely innocent. I just want them to come forward with that report and say, there we go.
Tory scumbag, Mark Fields, you need to go to prison. You and Liz Truss were having an affair on taxpayer money, taxpayer time. That's not what we pay for. And we didn't pay for the war in Ukraine as well, you cunts, Tory scums.
I think it's still to come forward.
Well, so no one has told me it isn't. So we shall see.
Trying to get it cleared up. Mark Spencer, love to have you with us. Thanks very much.
Mark Fields, his name is Mark Fields. Fuck the BBC, I swear that. Bunch of, I'm not even paying shit, man, honestly. They think they can get my TV license for this propaganda. Fuck the BBC.
Hey, what did we do to deserve this treatment? How could we not see the government come alive? Then put them feelings ahead of our own. I can't wait to testify. Hey, yo, them lock we down and have them pen a party. Grab the condoms and Bacardi. Up and down in street, them have a big, the police lock me up and put a ounce on me, but I'm a sovereign, protected by Jah. And when I cried out for air, and free me, in enemies, and I'm still one take my breath. Do not grant the wishes of the wicked. Do not let them succeed. Come with your blood, Jah. Put your hands on me, cause if it wasn't for you, I swear I would've died. 2020, yeah, I be a COVID life. If it wasn't for Jah, I wanna be alive. For me, give thanks, yeah, but come and never die. That's why me have to burn ganja, yeah, ganja. I forgot my fairy. That's why me have to burn ganja, yeah. It tough forever. I have to put it on the plane. More time me have to hide it on the train. Sometimes I put it on coat. Must smoke a weed, yeah, me not smoke a coke. Hey, ganja must come up for rain. The more ring that man can't make no money. Andrew, you a big spot funny. The bent boy, them funny. Hey, ganja must for rain. Traffic, ganja must come up for rain. Yo, what did we do to deserve this treatment? Yo, how could we not see the government of my life?
Time's up, me no babes. Place as them they break them down, but at all. Pussy them a play brave, march up on them gateway. Pretty be a face, knock it in at them mother face. When no play game, start why I go then leave ya. Don't see a fan down, me my backyard, and the main way. Generation, I tell them for no way it's great. Yeah, me listen, me have a ring, so me gun in your face. Make my badness, you the fuck. None of them do they can't call you up. You're in charge of your own. It up 7.94 power. Let me hear the tone in the hand slow. You fuck. Now all the meds of them gone vicious. Them a pull him up a stab and jaw crowd. You fuck. Talk them, know nothing goes so I start. So start them move them a go call when the match start barking. I dine on. At the young mother ass. Send them see with them salt as 12 days straight. We have bleach in me heart. Mally out senses when I sleep when I talk. Who that chop out them inside wicked and bad. Now learn now you learn the hard way. So the cause the badness pussy them to know for car park. I'm now you leave run break clean. You are coming that's a thing. Have candies a choke and a dust cocky. A simple match home is cold like a rotten knocking. Knock him in the stop it Angela why you cocky. Can't fire none tall like a wet matches. Christian come my badness them and nappies. Now the mercy to the sham but the thing I take it. Very messy me I'll be watching when my badness slow the fuck. None of them do they can't call you up. Ratty in charge of your own it up. 7.94 power. Let me put the tone in the hand them slow you fuck. Now all the meds of them gone vicious. Pull him up a stab and jaw crowd you fuck. Talk them I know nothing just want start something. Hey, what did we do to deserve this treatment?
How could we not see the government come alive? Them put them feelings ahead of our own. I can't wait to testify. Hey, yo, them lock we don't enough them pen up.